Alright, so welcome back to another Prehistoric Kingdom video. We are going to be going over the next dev diary. I know I said I was taking a break, but I figured we could just check up on this and see what exactly is happening. Because I wanted to do something about this because I knew the next update would be the Vivariums and stuff, as they've now called them, the Vivariums. Literally today, after I posted the break video, the channel update video, they posted this. So, and there is some decently exciting stuff here. Well, let's just get into it. Okay, so welcome to the August dev diary. This dev diary is a bit lacking in new information. Again, they just finished with the update 15, which had a lot of good stuff and a lot of big stuff, like all the breeding is basically not perfected, but they worked out a lot of the stuff. They put in new animations, they fixed the or not fixed, but they expanded on the nesting, so a bunch of that has been fixed, so much of that has been improved, which is obviously a lot of the work on this very small team behind the game. So it makes sense that this next dev diary, as they're just kind of coming off of that, is a bit lackluster or a bit smaller in information. But regardless, having now launched update 15, the team is very happy with its reception and feedback from the community. At its peak, we almost broke 1,000 concurrent players on Steam, which is the highest number we've had since launching into early access, which is pretty impressive. I've said it before in the past, I'm a bit scared for this game because a lot of the stuff that makes this game really good, or what made it unique at first, that stuff is coming to Jurassic World Evolution 3 in less than 2 months, which is, I don't know, I'm a bit nervous for it because you get the babies and stuff. I personally think that they do it a lot better. At least the babies, they do it a lot better because, again, I've said before, the seamless growth and the way they have the nesting and stuff. That is amazing. That is really good to watch, and it's very interesting. And I haven't played the Jurassic World Evolution 3 stuff or anything, obviously, but I don't know. It's not intriguing me as much as this game is with its how it handles it. They go over a small patch that they're going to be doing in mid-September, called Update 15.1, basically how Planet Zoo used to do all the minor updates right after the big updates, basically just fixing a couple things and adding a few of the leftover stuff that they didn't add in the couple updates in the past. Here it is. They say these features will be arriving in a second update coming in September, and those features are Animal Head IK, interspecies threat displays, and fleeing. However, this can occur during courtship, so I think they're talking about if a male tries to mate with a female and they get rejected, then that kind of animation plays out. But I think there's more untapped or unseen displays or interactions that we haven't seen that'll release in this update that they're probably just fixing out the kinks with. But yeah, those two things are very small and coming in next month, so it'll be interesting. So it's not really worth making a whole video about, but just something to keep in mind. But now let's get into the actual interesting part, the road ahead of update 16. So, after working on 2 major animal-related updates back-to-back, it's safe to say that our team is feeling ready to move on to something else that doesn't relate to growth or breeding. While 15.1 gets worked on, the rest of the team will be entering pre-production for update 16. This will be another huge and frankly transformative update, this time focusing on expanding the gameplay and park management experience of the game. While we aren't yet ready to divulge the exact details of everything coming, you'll start to see more images and info over the next few months. But for now, here's a taste of what we're looking at. So again, this is what we've seen in the past, but they've kind of reworked it a bit for this new concept art, I guess, that they're giving us. The Vivariums. Originally they were called Terrariums, now they're called Vivariums. They were even called mini exhibits way back in the day, but we've come a long way since then. So you have 3 different types of Vivariums. You have amphibious, arboreal, and terrestrial. Basically, you have terrestrial, it would be your land ones, smaller critters that live on land, like the Cymosuchus we saw before. Arboreal are things like the Microraptor, and amphibious are the fish or the salamander creature we saw before. Moving on here, Vivariums are placeable habitat modules used to house smaller or specialized animals like what you'd find in a real zoo. This will allow players to effectively build customizable reptile houses or aviaries. We consider an animal to be a vivarium species if their size or movement style does not mesh well with the dynamic nature of regular animals. Without vivariums, we would not consider including animals like Microraptor, Archaeopteryx, and Yi in the game. To keep their dev costs low, these species do not have ontogeny, multiple skin designs, or a true AI brain. They are an expansion to the mini aviary idea currently in the game, adding new options for a terrestrial and amphibious tank alongside the usual arboreal housing for climbers and gliders. They'll play animations at preset points around the habitat and sometimes even traverse it depending on where they spawn each time you look at the vivarium. A key part of the vivarium upgrade is to overhaul the animation system and make it much easier for us to set up new species. This is actually why no new animals have been added to the current mini aviary since beta. It's old, rigid, and not as nice to use as our updated pipeline. So that makes sense. If they're already planning to redo the entire system as it is, there's no real reason to add more animals to it. And everything that I've just said is basically, if you already play Planet Zoo, basically the same thing as the exhibit animals, almost word for word. Basically how it'll work, you don't have skins for these animals, you don't have breeding, and mainly how it will work, they'll just be kind of stationary species that will run around in a set animation, but you won't see them have their own AI system where they can just walk around wherever. They instead have set animations where they will just do loops or certain animations depending on where you look at them, and they will change places if you're not looking at them, kind of like the night at the museum. But that's exactly how it works in Planet Zoo, so I'm expecting exactly that. Moving on to the other thing they're bringing in this update, which is decently interesting to me. Vets, diseases, and death. Vets will monitor habitats, tend to nests, and alert the player to any disease that they find along the way. Depending on the severity, animals can be treated into the field directly. If it's a serious or contagious issue, however, players should move their animal into the upcoming quarantine bay. I actually like this idea because we don't have this in Planet Zoo. This is going to be interesting. Jurassic World Evolution actually does do this, where you can either bring a species back to like the research facility, or you can send the team out in the Jeep and shoot it, or like with tranquilize it. Maybe it's like a minor disease. And it's interesting. I kind of want to see this maybe in Planet Zoo if like it's possible, but I'm not sure how applicable it is to that. But this game, I can definitely see it being useful. This module must be stocked with a new medicine resource that vets use to cure and restore your animals. There will be a range of quarantine bay sizes available, with the largest versions supporting sauropods. That's interesting, because I get that we have different sizes like the animal hospital, but I'm wondering, they say it supports sauropods, so I'm wondering how big these actually need to be. With all that said, however, in the worst case scenario, it will still be possible for animals to die if they become too sick or old. Makes sense. Hence, any animal, even as healthy as can be, of course, still ends up dying to old age. Flat rides. Flat rides are a new type of attraction that can provide guests with entertainment or a better look at your animals. As mentioned in the January Dev Diary, flat rides include things like the Ferris wheel, theater, or a tethered balloon ride that goes straight up to provide a vantage point. And I find this kind of interesting because, again, we've just seen that the Jurassic World Evolution 3 is bringing in the balloon ride, and we've seen that this is already touching on that and already bringing it in. So they're really like 3 steps ahead here. We'd love to include things like track or tour rides, just like we have in Planet Zoo, but obviously those have a significantly higher dev cost, which makes sense. You have to do it like an entire path, and you have to do like entire system and stuff, and whole other thing. Starting with those simple things like the Ferris wheel and stuff that are just kind of like almost like placeable objects that have a set animation, and I'm assuming it's going to be similar to Jurassic World Evolution 3, where the entrance is just going to be like a set of doors or just a black void into nothing, and the guests will go in and then they will automatically appear on the Ferris wheel, and they'll start doing the animation around, and then they'll get off. Pretty simple. Another thing, staff progression 2.0. This is something I kind of skimmed past the first time I read this. To make things more cohesive, staff training and salary management will be merged into a unified system, letting players individually train staff. As the skill level of a staff member goes up, so does their salary. If they become too expensive, the player may have to demote them and lose access to their skills until promoting them again. We have a few other ideas cooking on how to improve the staff experience, but we'd like to wait a bit longer before announcing any specifics. Yeah, this seems like a pretty advanced kind of area with like the training. This is like I don't have any experience in. We didn't have this in Planet Zoo. You have this to a degree in the Jurassic World Evolution games, but I don't even think they're really including scientists in the new game. So it's interesting that they're getting rid of them and Prehistoric Kingdom is adding them. So wondering how that'll work, if there's going to be any changes. But yeah, they advertise the roadmap in between, like you can see all the different stuff. I think, if I remember right, there's like a bunch of new species coming in this update, and they're all probably going to be, or the majority of them are probably going to be Vivarium species. And that brings us to our highlight, I guess, as for most of this update, the new Vivarium species, which I really thought they talked about this earlier, but I guess not. The Compsognathus, one of the most amazing, one of the most iconic species. There's something chirping in the bushes, and it's not a bird. This must be the tiny Jurassic theropod, the Compsognathus. Our little finger biter here will be one of the smallest animals in Prehistoric Kingdom, ending up a little shorter than a baby velociraptor. So the model here, again, just like they said, this won't have alternate skin, so this is the only skin that the Compy will have, and I gotta say, it looks amazing. It looks great. It's nice to see that they're taking on, and this is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see them do species that we've had in the Jurassic franchise, that the Jurassic World games, but put them in like this kind of style, because we won't see that. We've seen that in Jurassic World Evolution 3, they are starting to bring over like species, new species that have more paleo accuracy, but we're still not going to get that with like the OG, like the film species. So it's nice to actually see these new kinds of like patterns and stuff, and I love the feathers throughout the entire body. I especially love like this, like the head, and it's the weird like white patches and stuff, kind of like a skull. Very, very cool. Compies and similarly sized land critters will be housed in the terrestrial vivarium, making it easy to keep track of them. We can't wait to show you more pictures once we've started properly developing their habitats. And that's all for the moment. We'll see you again next month for September's diary as we move closer and move deeper into working on update 16. In the meantime, there's quite a lot to play with in update 15, so we hope you enjoy everything we just added. Yeah, and this last update was amazing. We built for the Oviraptor. I might eventually build for the Gallimimus. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm assuming that this update will probably come in like 3 or 4 months, because that's usually, at this point, I feel like they're saving the bigger updates as we get closer to launch, because I believe the launch of this game is supposed to be Q1, Q2 next year. So as we get closer to that, I think they are gonna start doing like bigger, heavier updates, and especially bringing in more species, because the next few updates have a lot of species coming, and I feel like those are the ones that they really have to do, like the major ones, like the dinosaurs that you would expect to see in a dinosaur game, like Allosaurus, Stegosaurus, Diplodocus, stuff like that. So I feel like we're going to see a lot more of those like more iconic species other than these kind of like oddballs that we've seen so far. I'll show the community spotlight pictures and stuff on the screen as we wrap up here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That is the August dev diary, and we move on to September. Again, this is not something that I'm going to be regularly posting on. I'll probably continue doing these because they're just kind of fun to see like what's going on with this game as it gets closer to its launch. And yeah, I can't guarantee that I'll be building for any of the species. Again, I'm still on a break. I'm still at a lack of time. This is just something I kind of put together real quick. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did enjoy this little dev diary or a little like video going over it, hit the subscribe button. It would mean a lot to the channel. It means a lot to me. And I will see what I can do for Prehistoric Kingdom stuff in the future. But in the meantime, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye guys, have a great rest of your day.